good afternoon. This
Hello.
is the third episode of Far From Home, a talk with a friend abroad. This Wednesday we have Irene Pepe. Welcome, Irene. Ciao, Irene.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Irene is Italian, living in Hungary at the moment, but before coming to Hungary, he traveled a lot. She lived in different countries. So the first question is how you ended up in Hungary and how it is there.
Okay, thank you for asking that. I find this story pretty funny because, as you know, but not everybody knows, I was working. Yeah, you know all the stories. I was working in Malta, but my contract was going to end in a few weeks. And that summer, you introduced me to a photographer, and so thank you. And he was looking for an assistant, but in Budapest. And I thought, yeah, why not? I heard that it's a really interesting city. Someone calls it the new Berlin. So let's give it a try. So that's how I moved to Budapest. And I have to say that I was surprised by this city. I really like it. It's there is everything I need. And even though it's a really different context from what I was used, I don't understand a word, and I cannot communicate in Hungarian with anyone in Hungarian, but in the city center, everybody speaks English, so my life is still pretty easy. Yes, and also in my work, the company I work for has about 50 people, and 45 of them are Hungarian. But since most of our clients are Italian companies, I can also work in English and Italian. So that's also something that makes my life pretty easier.
Yes, I think what is interesting, we lived in Malta together for like 1 year and a half, more or less. So we were also colleagues here in Malta. And I think we mentioned also in the first episode, there are places that you feel that they are home or like home, and places that are not. So in your case, you enjoy a lot, like Malta, the sea and the sun, but at the same time was not home for you. Well, maybe Budapest was a little bit, because Budapest has more what you are looking for.
Yes, that's true. Even though I really liked being Malta, what was exciting me the most was the sun, the sea, that I could go for a swim before going to work, in the lunch break, or after work. So that was definitely the reason why I was more excited about it. But I like bigger cities. So I was missing, I don't know, circus or other let's say underground events or activities, or also the variety of arts and shows that you can find in a bigger city. So that's something that Budapest has. And so for that part, I was really happy to move. But of course, then when it's winter and you look at the Danube River and you think, yeah, where is my sea? The river is not exactly the same thing.
Yes.
And it snows.
Yes, we were looking for a date for having you back here in Malta, but then actually the COVID-19 happened, and all our plans kind of they were put on hold. So, and how it was that? How was it, and how it is the? How are you facing? Are you coping with the COVID-19 thing?
Actually, I think personally pretty well, because I'm lucky. I can work remotely for my company. I just need, Wi-Fi connection and my computer. So that didn't change too much. And I also, when I had to manage a small team, we were doing that on Skype. So I think the job was the easiest change, let's say. Also, before moving to Malta, when I was living in the Netherlands, I was working remotely for Italian companies, but I was based in the Netherlands. So it was just, it's like having gone back a few years.
Yes.
At that time. Yes, in which I had to organize my job, and I just needed to deliver it. That didn't matter. I didn't have to.
Some tips that you can give to people that are starting now to working remotely, and maybe they don't know how to do it, or they found themselves
Yes, one thing I really want to tell everybody in the world is the importance of boundaries. that for me it's really vital, because if you don't set your own boundaries, you mix a job and life, a personal space with the your workplace. So if you have only one room where you have to sleep, eat and work, try to set up some boundaries, at least after, I don't know, 7 p.m. or 11 p.m. doesn't matter when you prefer to work, but fix a time that after that you don't answer, you don't check your professional email, or you don't answer your boss, because if not, you keep working like a 27, and then it's not healthy. You can do it for a week, 2 weeks, but you never know how long it will take before this, cracking you apart.
Yes. As a leader, because you were also managing like people remotely. So as a leader, as a manager, what you should do to manage properly your team working remotely?
Asking them what is that they are feeling as the worst challenge, or the biggest fear that they have when they work not only alone, independently, as maybe they were also doing before, but without having someone looking at them, because maybe they are not used to be so fixed in that. Let's say if you have to do this task, maybe you feel that you have 4 hours to do it, so you will do it later. Maybe your mom is calling, you answer. Maybe you have to cook something, so you can do it later, and then you miss the deadline, or you cannot manage your own time without having someone near to you, or at least checking often. So I think that the most important part is, of course, as usual, listen. So maybe it sounds pretty easy suggestion to give, but
the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Active listening and carefully listen to what they are saying, and probably what also they are not saying, but you should read through the lines.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was the professional life for you was kind of good, because you were already used to.
Yes, really smooth.
Really smooth. Easy smooth. But then how was like the personal life? Your family is still in Italy, but also you're living there.
Yeah, on a personal. Yeah, it was pretty more difficult to organize everything and to choose where to stay. Or at the first, in the first weeks, I thought maybe I should go back to Italy to stay closer to my parents. But then it was also, I was still working. I was still going to my office, so it was not so easy. And then it changed pretty fast, the situation, and I realized that it was better to stay in Hungary instead of going to Italy. And also then the border were closed, and it was more difficult. Also from Hungary, you have to cross all the north of Italy to go where my parents live. So also, that was not that easy to organize. So I had many doubts about it, but I think that it was the best choice to stay in Hungary. And then now I'm in a small town, not even town, a small village in the countryside that is, let's say, 40 minutes from Serbia, I think. So in the south of Hungary. And it's nice. And I never thought that I could enjoy this quiet yes, village life, and but maybe because I know it's temporary, I'm really having a good time. And so I still find time to call my friends, and I realize that what I will miss the most is that in the last years I've been used to get in contact with my friends on Skype, but then I also found a way to meet them. Maybe every month or 2 months I was just taking a cheap flight or a cheap bus or something to go to meet them in person. And in this way, I wasn't feeling alone. I was not feeling isolated wherever I was, like in the south of Europe or in the cold. Yes. And so I think I will miss the possibility to meet them in person. So like with you, that we had to postpone my trip to Malta. yeah. So, but I'm happy that everybody now is calling, like organizing Skype aperitivo or this kind of
Yes,
let's
we're creative. The
yes.
social life online.
Yes, and I also managed to join some a yoga class of a friend of mine. That's thing that I would have never find time to do it before. You know, they were doing their offline classes and in Italy, or depends on where they live. And now I already did two. I'm pretty happy about it.
That's super. There's something I want to mention because I thought for you it was also part of the decision, and the same was for me. And sometimes we think that in the European Union everything is fine because we are all in the European Union, but actually the social security is on the access to the health system is also based on where you work, where you pay your taxes, your social security. And so that was also part of my choice, and I know also your choice.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. I should point that out. I had a lot of trouble in understanding how to get the Hungarian health card, also because I still had the residency, so also the health card from Malta. So it was difficult to understand the process, and meanwhile my European card had expired. So this feeling of not knowing where you can go to an hospital, if you can, what are the things that are covered, which is not, if you should go through a private health card or you know. I also thought about an insurance, but then I managed to have the Hungarian health card, so far I'm keeping that. But yeah, it was hard to choose, also because I know that in Italy, if I would have a problem, I would have been able to go to an hospital or to pay for the health care. But I don't know that much about the Hungarian health system. What I know is that Hungarians are not really proud of it, and it's not many doctors. Many Hungarians doctors moved to Austria or to Germany because the salary are 2 or 3 times better abroad. So it's also difficult to find. I mean, not only from a quality point, but also from a quantity point, to find many doctors. Or
yes. So I think this is because we were, when we are all fine and there is no problem, it's something that you know you need to have and you need to like secure, but at the same time is not your first priority. But when if you are sick, or now there is a global pandemic, that is actually it gets actually a priority. And
yes, I was making fun of a friend of mine. She's Italian, but she lives in Ireland with a Spanish boyfriend, and she has always done a list of the places where she wanted to move, or where she was considering to accept a job offer, also considering the health system, how can you retire, how many days is the maternity leave. And she did that also when she was in early 20s. So I was like, why you do all of that trouble?
Actually, sure.
Yes, so go with the flow. Hungary, Malta, New York, everything is fine. And then, I realized that, maybe I'm happy, I'm lucky that this pandemic is finding me in Europe instead of in, I don't know, other places where I was, or I would have loved to be.
Yes. That's true. And getting back to the resources, because again, I know you, and I know this is something that we have in common. So actually, like, work was kind of one of the resources that you have in this time, because it's not only work, it's like something also that you're passionate about, and something that you are always something that you want to improve. And if you want to say something about these resources, or maybe any other resource that you have found.
Yes, it's yes, a job is I don't know, I don't find myself I don't have free time. I would like, that's why I was talking about boundaries, that I say, okay, now I did all my tasks for the day, and then my mind is still working, and I'm thinking about how can I improve my job, and then what is my probably my main occupation during this time is online courses. I am a drug addict of online courses. I do a lot of LinkedIn learning and Coursera courses and whatever I found interesting. And I think I watch more hours of LinkedIn learning than Netflix in my life. And now that I cannot go out for a beer or meeting friends, it's so easy to watch another course that makes you feel that maybe you can improve that skill or can be useful for your work. So I consider that as a resource because I don't think it's still stressing me out. It's I can handle it. I've just spent many hours doing that, and on Easter Day I got the certificate from the Bocconi University online, and I was so proud. I shared it on LinkedIn. Thank you. And then I realized, oh, but it's Easter. So it sounds
I'm crazy.
Yeah, that I'm a nerd at least, or an insecure person. No, but actually I consider it a resource because I like doing that, and it makes me feel that my days are not wasted. I'm not bored, and I'm excited to the idea that I don't know which course I will do after the one I'm doing now. And it's not like cooking. I have many friends that are cooking, that's fine, but overcooking and overeating. So at least this addiction should bring me to have more knowledge, I hope.
Yes. No, I think it's great also because we have discussed in the first two sessions that is a time for maybe discover something about yourself, like self-awareness, and this is but also it's time for maybe a professional development, also for a change in career, because if you are using your time now to study something or learning something, maybe it can be useful as a next step in your life when we will get back to normal, also because we will never probably get back to normal, but to something different. And if you have new skills, maybe you are prepared.
Yes, and also, I don't know what will happen to my professional career right now, but it's definitely true that from an economical point of view, many companies will shut down, many people will lose their jobs. Like now it's happening really hard in the United States. I think it's a global impact. So I think that thinking about your next move in the career path, it's just something that people should do. We have to take into consideration that the crisis will be also on an economical level. So.
Yes, that's really true. Anything else you want to add? Other resources that you are?
I discover that also that I like to play board games. That's a really surprise. I was when I lived in the Netherlands. I thought, and in the bars there were also every time so many board games. I was laughing and I was thinking, oh, so cute, And but now, yes, there are some of them that are pretty fun. And but since I'm in Hungary, I'm also experiencing this conflict with the Scarabeo. I think in English is Scrabble. Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have it, but with the Hungarian alphabet. So instead of the 20-something Italian letters, I have the 44 Hungarian letters.
Whoa.
And I try to make the words with the alphabet. And then next step, I'm also adding every game more Hungarian words, so that I can also be pushed to improve my Hungarian language.
Because you're also
taking
a course of Hungarian language.
Yes, on Wednesdays. I did it today. So it's the online class. Before it was offline, but now we switched to online. And yes.
Why did you decide to take the course? Such a difficult language.
That's a good question. It's really difficult, the Hungarian language. So maybe I'm doing something out of my, I don't know, maybe out of the range of things I can make. But I like it, and I think that it's important to try to learn about the language and the culture of the place you are living in, not only to fit in the place, but also to show to the people that you work with that you are doing an effort, or just for the beauty, to seeing a different perspective. And knowing the language is also an insight of the culture of the place. So I think it's fascinating and helpful to understand where you are living. But with Hungarian, it's really a challenge. But when I lived in Malta, I never considered learning Maltese. That also was pretty challenging. And I know you are doing that. So a big applause. That was a bit scary. Yes, and so after, I don't know now, maybe 5, years that I live in places where they don't speak English or Italian as first language, I decided it was the right time to start trying to, the language.
Good, congratulations. So we're almost at the end of our talk. Now it's the time for the message to Italy, your Italian friends in Italian.
Ok, I will switch easily to Italian. Ok, vediamo. Penso che la cosa che mi farebbe più piacere condividere con i miei amici in questo momento è che ci rivedremo presto in qualche città, non so bene dove, e torneremo a farci quei weekend di birrette e chiacchiere per fare tutto il recap di quello che è successo nei mesi in cui non ci siamo visti. E, questo pensiero forse è quello che anche mi aiuta a guardare con il sorriso ai prossimi mesi.
Yes. Thank you.
Grazie Viviana. Thank you so much. Yeah, and good luck with this project. I really love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ira, and have a nice afternoon. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.